Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. This evening's performance is about to begin. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the JustNabz podcast with me, Nabila, and my lovely co-host, Nabil.
Hello.
Before we get started, make sure you follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube, like our episodes, and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. So, how are you today, Nabil?
Very fine. How about you?
I am very well. This weather is making me thrive. It's nice and cold and rainy.
Oh, I love it. I love it, especially on Saturday night. Just read a book under the blanket with a nice cup of tea. Isn't it the most British and relaxing thing you could ever do?
I find it so difficult to drink tea in bed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I can't. I struggle. I need one of those like little bed desks or something.
Oh, okay. So I have my desk next to my bed, so it's quite easy for me. I usually use my my desk for my cup and for my mug, and then I just stay in bed. Otherwise,
I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm
just
just
go down.
clumsy.
Oh, yeah, you are. Most probably. We have a new format, don't we?
Do we?
Yes, this whole thing we're starting today. So, as we said.
We basically last episode we talked about Ted Lasso, and then we got the idea that we wanted to talk more about series and books and movies that we are watching.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot that we watch in common, so we'll find common ground, and then take the topics from there. But before that, I wanted to ask you: do you dream in color or black and white?
Color.
Okay, that's me as well. But I was speaking to my mother the other day, and she finds it so difficult to understand that I dream in full, vivid colors. She's like, people dream in black and white. What do you mean?
Do you know how I know that I dream in color? Because I remember one big dream when I was in elementary school, and I dreamt about Bin Laden bringing me to school, hand in hand. And I remember.
What?
Yeah. And I remember seeing his skin color and my school colors and everything. So yeah, that's how I know that I dream in color.
Jeez.
But yeah, even if you go to Wikipedia and you look for dreams or things like that, every single illustration or representation of a dream is in black and white. So I assume that the majority of people dream in black and white.
Really? That's so weird. I'd be so bored. Like, imagine dreaming in black and white.
Yeah.
I see full colors in my dreams.
Me too. Does that mean that we're more creative or something? I think there's a meaning. Yeah, there must be a meaning.
I was about to say that.
There must be a meaning behind it. So, but yeah, I'm quite sure I dream in color.
Yeah, I was just wondering that.
Anyways, do you usually remember what you dreamt?
I usually do, and they are very weird and bizarre. Like, I just had a dream now before I woke up that I was screaming because my mother didn't get my food order right, or she didn't order food for me or something, but like other people were eating.
That's a valid reason.
And I didn't get my food, and then like I started screaming, and then I woke up, but I wasn't screaming in real life.
I've read this, but I haven't I haven't confirmed it or anything or verified it or anything. I read this thing about dreaming that we only dream for 20 minutes at most during the night. But since we
Yeah,
have a different perception of time while we're dreaming, it seems like we've been dreaming for days, maybe. Um, so,
time is a construct.
oh, I I thought you were going to say it was due to capitalism.
That too.
Okay.
You
Now,
know, 8-hour working days, 5 days a week, two
okay,
days
so what are
weekend.
we talking about today?
So, the last thing we both watched together was Sex Education on Netflix.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
So
Surface level thoughts.
we'll try to not to spoil anything because it's relatively new, the new season, for people who want to watch it. But there might be some spoilers here and there, and we'll try to warn you because we're
Tweet, tweet,
good
tweet, tweet,
people.
tweet, tweet, tweet,
Yeah,
tweet, tweet. Spoiler alert.
yeah, because we're good people. That's how you know that a person is a good person. But anyway, I think,
I can't stand when people live tweet when they're watching a series. I'm
yeah,
just like, can you
yeah.
flip and stop? Because not all of us have gotten there yet. Like the first day that Sex Education came out, there were people live tweeting it. And I'm like, for what reason? We
Yeah, no.
all can't,
So if
some
you
of us have jobs and work to do. We can't watch it on the first day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if you could, if you're listening to this, please just start using the hashtag so I can silence the hashtag and so I don't get any spoilers. Yeah, that might be a way around it. So I think sex education had a huge potential, but they wasted it, completely wasted it, because they tried. So they had these two main characters, which were Otis and Maeve, right? And ever since the first season, it's no secret that they've been the main character, and there's been uh, something between them, going and coming, ups and downs and whatever. But I think that they ended up dragging it too much for too long. And in this during this last season, they tried doing something like Orange is the New Black, with developing every single character story, and I think they failed in doing so.
I I don't agree with that. I actually enjoyed it. It was nice. It was wholesome. And also I hated the two main characters. So it was perfect that they focused on other characters as well because I can't stand Otis and Maeve.
Me too. What I'm saying is they should have done it sooner. I think they should have put Otis and Maeve
I
together,
Yeah,
going with the line.
they probably didn't anticipate that the show was going to be a big of a hit as it was. So
Yeah, but they've had two seasons now. Apart from season one, they've had two seasons to realize that. And if you do not realize in two seasons that your show is something, I think you've got a problem with your job. So I think they, sorry, pass me the term, but I think they fucked up. I think they had a huge potential of representing this new youth going on with their lives very different to the previous generation, but they ended up in stereotypes. So if you take the new headmaster, they could have developed her story much further.
yeah.
So little spoiler alerts. She has a problem. Let's say, okay, she has a physical problem. They could have developed that much deeper. Instead of just representing her in a stereotypical way, saying she's the headmaster, so she has to be the bad character, the bad person in the game, which she could have been. She could have been developed much further, much deeper than they did. So I think that's a wasted. To me, sex education is the single greatest lost chance, lost possibility to develop a huge youth series, and they just put on a ridiculous show. So I didn't like it. To be fair, I didn't like it, and
I enjoyed it. The humor, okay, it was a bit. At times, it did get like ridiculous, and things didn't make sense. Like at the end, when something happens to the school, I'm just like, okay, I don't know how the British education system works, but I mean, couldn't there be a way to reverse the decision that was made about the school? And then also, I hated that scene on the bus, the
uh,
shit scene.
okay, yeah, me too, me too. That's so. I mean, that's so childish. Are we resorting to shit from the bus to make people laugh? To put on
Yeah, I don't
a
like
comedy
toilet
scene?
humor.
Me neither. It's
It
so
was very dumb. It
childish.
was gross. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely
I
agree.
don't know if it was, because it's a high school. Also, the thing that gets to me is it has an 18 rating, I think, but it's a movie about high schoolers.
Yeah,
Something about that always doesn't sit right with me. Like, you're trying to portray a high school experience, so wouldn't high schoolers want to indulge in it? Why are you putting an 18 rating
because
on it?
there are nude scenes. That's the single reason they're putting an 18 rating on it. There's no drugs, I think. I can't recall any drugs being used. Uh
No.
maybe there was
I think they
some
just smoked a
marijuana.
joint.
Yeah, just a joint. But other than that, and I think that goes for the 18 rating as well. But other than that, it's just a joint and uh childish sex.
But yeah, kids are getting up to the same thing in real life anyway.
Well, I do agree, and there goes the main topic of this whole series and the main topic of this episode of how sex is still perceived by the older generation and in high school, for instance. I still do think that in this way, I think sex education did a nice job, to be fair, because they portrayed the older generation in its two faces. If you look at Otis' mother, she's quite, let's say, quite open to talk about things. It's her job, so you can see her more comprehensive. And when a small guy or a small girl comes with some problems, she knows how to solve them instead of just saying we don't talk about these things. As opposed to the headmaster, for instance, who thinks that sex is bad and push that program in the school to tell kids not to have sex, which is not the solution because ultimately they are going to have sex anyway. And how was it in South Africa, for instance, growing up? How did you have any sex education lessons or anything?
Yeah, we did. But kind of like in the series, where they have like the scene where they watch that video of someone giving
Hmm.
birth. I think it was one of the was it the teacher's birth video? Okay, we didn't watch our teacher's birth video, but they did put on a video for us of someone giving birth, and it was horrific. I was disgusted to my core. But yeah, we did have, you know,
I'm sorry to
a
interrupt.
subject.
Were you divided between boys and
I
girls?
went to an all-girls school,
Okay, yeah.
so it was fine.
Hmm.
But we did have a subject called life orientation, which was then broken down into like religious education, and I can't remember what sex education was called. But anyways, there was a subject specifically for it, where they taught us about AIDS and being safe and using protection. It wasn't as extreme like the things that they talk about in sex education, the series, where they teach you about pleasure and all that. It wasn't to that extent, but they taught us the basics.
Mm. Well, we didn't. We didn't have any sex education at all, and yeah, and that's mainly because we have a huge problem here in Italy. So I'm talking about Italy. We have a huge problem called the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church is the Catholic Church is against having any sex education in school, and for this reason, we haven't had any sex education. I don't think there's any sex education in Morocco either, and I think that's missing. So I think young people, young kids should be aware of what they're going into. I think it's a huge world. Of course, it might mean pleasure to the majority of people, but it has some counter sides which you need to be aware of. You need to be aware of the fact that you need to use protection and how you use it, and if you don't, here are the risks. So it is paramount that we start considering sex education just as any other subject, to be fair.
Yeah, I think AIDS and HIV is also a huge issue in South Africa.
Mhm.
So I think it's a big, I don't know about schools these days or other schools, but in our school, it was a big uh, teaching topic for us. It wasn't only covered in this subject. I'll just call it sex ed, but it wasn't called that in school.
Mhm.
Um,
So they didn't use the word sex, I
no,
assume.
they didn't. I don't know why I can't remember the word now, but I remember my teachers clearly, or my teacher clearly. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but anyways, yeah, and she had all these like posters up um, in her classroom.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we were very well aware and well informed.
Well, we weren't, and I think there must be a subject, sex ed, and also in every single high school there should be a consultant, someone you can talk to,
Mm.
if you
Yeah,
have
we so
doubts.
we had a school counselor
Yeah,
that.
we didn't, because we have
Oh
this
wow.
fucking church here in Italy, and I hate them. The bigotry here in Italy is so deep rooted in society. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. They still think that sex is. Well, you know what? The older generation have all been having unprotected sex while doing cocaine in the 80s, and now they're saying, no, we cannot talk about sex. That's what sends me. What
Did
sends me
did
to be.
anyone in your high school ever fall pregnant in school?
So yes, I don't personally know the person, although I know her name and I've seen her in high school, but she wasn't in my class or anything. But I know she got pregnant by having unprotected sex. Um,
Yeah,
so
it's a reality.
yeah, she got stuck with a baby at 17, and that's uh, anything but convenient for your life. Because uh, just saying, but having a baby is a life-wrecking thing if you don't plan it. I think unless you're settled down, having a baby can deviate your life. If you're focused on your career,
Do you know
it's
what I find so weird is like you get movies and series and reality TV shows that glamorize teenage pregnancy and they romanticize it and like make it seem like it's such a beautiful thing that this child had a child and they supported by their family. And for me it's just weird. I know, everyone is entitled to live their life how they want, and it's, but to glamorize it and romanticize this life just is seems so weird to me.
hmm I absolutely agree. I agree, and I don't know. I don't know how, but if you think of it, the whole discussion about sex and everything has been going on for ages now. Because I remember watching shows back in the 80s, talking about sex, talking about
Wait, you were not born in the 80s?
no, but you know how I go back, I like to go back to the old things and see how the world was. And if you think of it, when there was the whole HIV/AIDS thing in Britain going on, everyone was talking about sex, and Margaret Thatcher herself had to. What did she do? Did she like kiss someone or hug someone? What?
I have a series about that. It's called Starstruck.
About Margaret?
No, not about Margaret. No, wait. Was it called Starstruck? No, that was um it had the guy from Years and Years, Ollie Alexander.
I haven't watched it. I don't watch too many TV series, as you can tell. Um, but
Watch this one, it's good. So it's about the gay scene in Britain in the 90s and how AIDS and HIV started spreading and how they dealt with it.
that sounds interesting. Yeah, I will. I'll have a look. Oh, but back to sex education. Without spoiling anything. Okay, so no
Oh, it's
spoilers.
called It's a Sin. It's the series is called It's a Sin.
Okay,
That's it. So sorry, his song was called Starstruck. I don't know why I
okay.
was thinking about that, but yeah, the series is called It's a Sin. And it's really good. It's emotional as well.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Promise. So back to sex education. Without giving out any spoiler, what do you think about the season finale? The very last scene, the thing that happens at the end. Do you think? What are your thoughts?
I was proud of Maeve. Well, actually, it was Amy who talked sense into her because, as a feminist, I am very against making decisions based on a man, especially at that young age. I mean, if they were older and she made that decision, you know what? Actually, I stand for her decision. I stand with it. For it, don't ever revolve your life around a man because tomorrow he can just up and leave you. You need to get your life in order and live a life that you want to live. If he fits into it, great. If he doesn't, bye bye. Or you come back to him at a later stage. Put him on pause, put him on hold.
So this ended up being a spoiler because once people see what the whole thing,
I didn't tell you what it is. You don't know what she
yeah,
did.
okay, okay, yeah, absolutely. So that's true. I do agree with you on the fact that you have to live your life regardless of um, of others, be it a man or a woman or whatever. But from a serious perspective, I think that's stupid. That's just stupid, just to drag the whole thing about autism made for another season. And I hate it. I deeply hate it. I cannot.
Also, what didn't make sense was she didn't even have her passport, and then suddenly she's like, "Bye, I'm going to the airport." And I was like, "But you didn't even
Yeah,
like, where's your passport? Like, how did you get the money overnight?" It didn't make sense. Like, okay, wait, this is a huge spoiler, but I need to talk about it because, oh, like, how do you just get up and
that's why I say that this series ends up being childish at times.
yeah, because so it was too fictionist. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know if it's just me and my realistic view on life now that I'm an adult, but she said, "Oh no, the deadline had passed and she didn't have the
yeah.
money, so she missed her chance." And then suddenly she was like, "Bye, I'm going to the airport
Bye.
now."
Bye.
Okay, girl, like. Did you phone them and tell them to make a space at 8 o'clock at night, the night that you need to be leaving?
Yeah. And Huli. Okay. No, I mean, I don't know. That's. I mean, you know what? And also, if high schoolers watch this, if you need to make such a big choice, please take your time to make it. There's no one making such a making their minds on such a huge topic overnight or in an evening, in an afternoon time frame. It doesn't go like that. So you need to ponder. I mean, that would be a huge step in her life, and they're putting it like it only takes an afternoon to think about it and to think about what you should be doing. And yeah, so tonight I'll be at the airport. So it doesn't really go like that. That's why I think that there was a huge potential, but they wasted it, and that makes me angry deeply. I think that there's another series, not on sex education, but on young girls in Ireland. Was it called like Derry
Dairy
Girls? Yeah,
Girls.
Derry Girls. I
Oh,
think
I love that series.
yeah, it's very different from sex education, but I do think that they somehow portrayed a more realistic version of school during the war between the UK and Ireland than sex education managed to do in the modern days. Uh, that's how I see it.
What year is that era supposed to be of sex education? It looks
I
like
think it's the
early
early 2000s.
2000s.
Yeah, it's the early 2000s, and you can see that from the fact they don't have phones, they don't use smartphones, and even the cars are the early
Yeah, it was
2000s.
like oldish cars.
Yeah, but and Derry Girls was like the 90s maybe, because I think in 90
Yeah.
yeah, because I think in 94, 96, Ireland and the UK, or 99, Ireland and the UK signed that peace treaty, that ceasefire on the border. Uh, so I think it's the late 90s, maybe early 90s or late 90s, but it's the 90s. Sex education is clearly the early 2000s.
You know what I really like about sex education and Dairy Girls, and also there's this other series called Chewing Gum.
Hmm.
Watch it. It's about with Michaela Cole,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so what I really it's also a British series. So what I really like about those series is it's so raw and real. You know, they don't put all this like fluffy music on to real scenes and things, you know, like a scene where so in Chewing Gum, you know, when she the first time she sleeps with someone, like there's no fancy music and they don't make it look so la di da
Mm-hmm.
heavenly. It's awkward and uncomfortable to watch, and it's funny. Chewing Gum is a really nice series. It's very funny, and Stormzy makes an appearance in it as well.
Oh, I'll watch it then.
It's it was so funny how he ended up there. I was like, oh my gosh. Um, yeah, but I prefer British series for some reason.
Hmm. Me too.
I
Me
don't know.
too.
I enjoy British humor.
Okay. But if you look at the latest British series, the majority of them is about sex. So I watched Sex Education. I watched another series. I think its name was Love Something, and where there was this guy
What
having
was it?
chlamydia.
Yes.
Yeah, and he
Where he
had
has to go through the list of all
yeah,
his exes and
exactly. And then what was the other one? Oh, bloody hell. I forgot, but it was about sex as well, so there was sex involved. I think that uh, the British are trying to open up themselves,
yeah.
being traditionally more conservative country. They're trying to open up on such topics, and I'm there for that. I'm here for that. I
But
want to see it.
you growing up in Italy, like with Moroccan parents, was it easy for you to talk about such things with your parents?
Oh, so my parents came here in the late 80s. So somehow, since I was a child, I think I've had a mix of upbringing. So, of course, they're Moroccan, but they're more they're more open on such things. I think my father a bit less, but my mom I tend to talk more about these things with my mom. And how it all started is, I don't know if I told this story or not, but the first time I ordered condoms from Amazon, I forgot we all use the same Amazon account. So we were getting updates on the shipment, and when it got here, I opened it in the living room downstairs, and there was my mom next to me, and I think that she was kind of happy I was using protection. But I've never had that famous talk with my father or my mother. I had to do it all by myself, do my own research
So
and
you
come to
never got taught
conclusions.
it in school, and then you never talked to your parents about it.
No, so not really. All I
So
know
did you like
is
read books and
no.
watch?
All I know, okay, yes, I've watched, but all I know, the majority of things I know, I know them from experience, and especially protected sex. I've always used protection, but there was one period when I didn't. But then I started donating blood, and when you donate blood, you kind of have this responsibility, and you're kind of anxious because I donate once every 3 months, and my blood gets tested, and if something comes up, it's bad because I send a letter home, and my mom is there reading all my letters on my blood, and yeah, I've started using protection unless you're with your partner or you and your partner are completely clean, then yeah, it's fine. But it's important to know that using protection is not only because of HIV or becoming pregnant. There are many other things you can transmit having sex. Herpes, for instance, you can transmit herpes while having sex. And all these things, you learn them when you start doing your own research. That's why I think that young people must be taught in school because they're not going to do any research. I didn't. I started with experience and then I went back to research, and it should be the other way around. But yeah, coming back to my
I feel
family,
like it's better to, actually teach kids than your way of learning it is actually kind of dangerous
yeah, it is.
because you don't know what you're going to encounter along the way. You don't know if you don't know
Absolutely.
that, you can get AIDS or other sexually transmitted diseases from someone, and you go and do something with someone unprotected, and then suddenly you have
Yeah.
something or the other.
Yeah, and it's not only myself because of my Moroccan parents. 90% of my friends, boys and girls, both learned the same way I did.
Yeah, it's that's
It's
that's more
risky.
dangerous than actually having it at
Yeah.
school and laying it out for the kids. This is what happens. This is preventative measures. This is what you can do in order to be safe. Like I feel that's so much better than just kids are gonna do it anyway,
Hmm.
but you rather them do it safely.
Absolutely. And I've had so many friends. You know, it's quite it's quite um, it happens quite oftenly here in Italy. You go to the club, you pick up someone, you go to the bathroom, you have sex, and I think that happens more often
I
than
thought that
not.
only happened in movies.
No, 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 no. It's happy. If you go to any club here in Italy at around 2 a.m., bathrooms are unavailable because they're a huge problem. But yeah, and those people never have protected sex, so they're drunk. They cannot reason in any way, and that might end up in something dangerous, be it pregnancy, be it sexual transmitted disease, be it something else. So I do think that's a huge problem. But until we have a huge epidemic, a huge HIV epidemic here in Italy, no one is going to care about giving any sex education. Because, again, the fucking church. Yeah. So coming back to sex education, who's your favorite character and who's your least favorite character?
My favorite character is Amy.
And your least favorite?
I have a tie. There's three people I hate the most:
Okay, roll them out.
Otis, Maeve, and Isaac.
Okay, so my favorite one is Adam, and my least favorite is that fucking Isaac.
Oh, and Eric also. Eric is my favorite. Eric and Amy are my favorite.
No, to me it's Adam, and I hate both Maeve's mom and
Oh, yes.
and Isaac.
I
Everyone
thought he was
hates
going to be a
Isaac.
lot more vindictive in the season, but
Yeah,
he
me
was
too.
surprisingly too subdued.
Yeah,
I loved the Nigerian scenes. It was such a nice contrast and break from that boring little British town. And then you add in like little Nigerian drama there. That was really nice. I enjoyed those scenes.
yeah.
And then that Banana Fall on You song. I love that song. Every time it used to come on at work, we all used to be like, Banana Fall on You.
No, I love.
Yeah, so that was
that
fun.
was lovely. But you know what? I got ever so curious about how it is to be gay in such African countries, like in Nigeria, or is it really illegal? I don't know, because it's
Yeah.
set in the early 2000s. I don't know if anything changed, but I would like.
I think it's still illegal in most African countries. South Africa, gay marriage is illegal.
Okay, but is it illegal to be gay? I mean, is it illegal to kiss someone of your same sex?
No, not in South Africa, but in
Yeah.
other African countries,
Yeah,
yes.
that's why I want to. I really want to know someone's experience from there. I hardly think that anyone
Yeah.
is going to come out and speak about it. If you want anonymously, you're more than welcome. But I'm so curious about it. Not even on the podcast, but even just for myself, I want to know the experience there. I'm so curious, but I'll hardly I'll hardly do so. So next week, so we're going to tell you what we're going to watch, so that if you want, you can watch it, and then you know we can talk about it together. So we're going to watch. I was reading this book, Anna Karenina, by Leo Tolstoy, a Russian writer from the 19th century. So from Britain, we're going to Russia, and we're going to watch the
Oh
movie.
no, you're not giving him enough credit. This guy is literally one of the best literature figures
Of course.
in history.
Yeah.
And he has a Nobel Peace Prize.
He's one of my favorites. So I'm reading to you on the back of my book. I have some quotes from some other writers. So Dostoevsky, another very famous Russian writer, said that Anna Karenina is the perfection and nothing can compare to it as a book. And Vladimir Nabokov, another, I think he wrote. I can't remember the name, but it was another very famous book. He wrote that it's an absolute masterpiece, this book, and that's the best representation of the creative perfection of Tolstoy. So this is a huge book. It's great. The story is great. It's so catchy. It's so grippy. And I still need to watch the movie. So we're going to watch the 2012 movie, because there are 3 editions, 3 different movies.
Keira Knightley, Jude Law, and Aaron Taylor Johnson are the 3 main characters.
Okay, we're going to watch the 2012 movie. So watch it if you want. You can come on the podcast if you want to take part in the conversation. You can read the read the book, not read the movie. You can read the book. I hugely, hugely, hugely recommend it. I think it's becoming my favorite book of all time. And yeah, there's not much more I can say for it now. I've read the book, so next week we're going to comment on the movie. And we can see how it compares to the book, so that I really do hope they don't leave out any important part. With that being said, thank you for having been with us. We
Song
hope.
of the week, song of the week, song
Oh,
of the
bloody
week.
hell! Okay, I haven't listened to much, but I think I have it. Uh, you go first.
I must go first. Okay. So my song of the week is Troye Sivan, Angel Baby.
Angel Baby, is it a love song?
Yes.
Huh. Um. Okay, so my personal song of the week, on the other hand, is, I don't know. I've been listening to classical music all week long. But I've discovered this new song by, I don't know if I said it. Yeah, maybe I already said it. The song by a tennis player. Uh,
Yes.
okay, so I will choose this other one, Love Nwentiti, which is by a Moroccan, by CK, a Moroccan, and El Grande Toto, Moroccan singer. So,
Okay.
uh,
Do you know, I found out something interesting this week.
have
So,
you?
working with like clients in different fields, I was doing some research and I found out that Beethoven was actually deaf when he
Yeah.
composed Symphony Number 9.
You do know how he used to compose symphonies. So he had this little metal thing he used to put between his lips, so he could feel the vibration and feel the notes
Yeah,
going with the vibration. And yeah, but he was deaf. He was, yeah. So that's and
incredible.
yeah, and there was it X Factor or something like that, or Britain's Got Talent, some years ago. A young girl came up and she was deaf. So I found out she used to sing and play the piano with barefoot so that she could feel the
Yes, so she could feel
vibration,
the.
yeah, from the
Yes, I
ground.
remember that.
That is, I think that's the peak of human beings. I can't see how they're not superior human beings to us.
Honestly, and the way the world is designed, I know we've said this before, it's just if you allow spaces and if you make the world more accessible for people with disabilities, they can achieve just as much as
Absolutely.
able-bodied people.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Anyways,
So
with
anyway,
that,
yeah,
so next week we are off to Russia. So bye, Britain.
yeah.
I really want to go to Russia.
Me
though.
too.
Like,
I'm so pumped. I need to find. You know what? I'll look for some insights on Russia as well, because I do think it's it's a very particular country. Its people are so different from us.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
really
really
want to
pumped.
go and experience it.
Me too. Me too. Well, anyway, thank you for having been with us. We wish you a very nice weekend, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.